Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Real quick plug for Raise Energy. As you guys know, we are affiliated. Code SkyRange saves 15% on all your orders. They've released a brand new flavor, prickly pear. So, trying that out today. Oh, that's really good. I love pears. This is a really good flavor. Make sure you check it out. All that fun stuff. But anyways, on today's coaster video, I realized that as a theme park content creator part-time, I've never really given you guys my top 10 list. However, since I am pretty close to hitting 300, which I expect to be doing in a couple months on my trip to California, look forward to that in some videos in the future, I thought we'd do it with a little twist. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my top 10 roller coasters, but only based on the videos that I posted here on the channel. Cue the intro. Number 10, and we're starting off with a little bit of a hot take. You guys see I'm wearing my I've back shirt today from my home park, Kings Island. We're gonna go with its slightly younger, older brother. It's like newer, younger, something like that. Orion, the hyper coaster. That's a Giga coaster. It's got a 300-foot drop. It counts as a Giga. It's got a 300-foot drop. Honestly, I thought about putting Millennium Force here instead, but I guess we'll do honorable mentions in a little bit. Orion is, the reason to visit Kings Island now. Between that and Mystic Timbers, let's do 1-2 punch. Once again, we'll do honorable mentions in just a second, because Kings Island is, a very memorable park for me. Not only is it my home park that I've grown up with, but, there's a lot of things. Vortex, you guys have seen. There's literally a 30-minute Vortex video that I did a couple years ago, back when it closed, and several other things. You know my love of Vortex here on this channel. Adventure Express, my first coaster. There's just so many important things at Kings Island to me. But going back to matter at hand, Orion itself is fantastic. It's a really short ride. I know it's a lot shorter than the other Gigas, but every one of those elements packs. The first drop, that 300-foot drop, is almost straight down 85 degrees. You feel every single second of it. It feels like it goes on forever and ever and ever, and just depending on where you sit, you get that speed, you get that just pure airtime trajectory. It's incredible. I will give you that some of the elements like the wave turn and the turnaround don't really do anything, but who cares? It's a giant wave turn where you're some 200 odd feet in the air. There's incredible back-to-back float air time hills on the return trip. That Orion's Bell Helix with the finale banked hill. It's short but sweet. It's fantastic. And once I get back down to Carowinds, because if you guys saw my video, it was actually a very horrible trip between being rained out, the long lines, and Fury literally closing every time I got in line for it. I can't wait to ride that thing. I cannot wait to ride Fury, because it's if it's anything up to what I've heard compared to being on Orion X billion times, cannot wait. Number 9, feeling fine. That's the 9, right? So this is what I don't like about making top 10 lists, because I look at every single one of these, and I think this is an amazing roller coaster that I would honestly consider number 1, but I have to rank them somehow. Staying in Ohio, we are going up to Cedar Point, where we are talking about Maverick. This is a fantastic little ride. I think it was one of Intamin's first Blitz coasters, if not the first. Short, snappy, long. It's not short, it's long. Oh, this ride just packs. This ride, it's non-stop. Going from that first drop, 95 degrees. It's not that long, it's only 100 feet tall, but size doesn't matter, the ride right here. Once again, amazing ejector going off that first drop, straight into that high-speed trick track. Amazing ejector, airtime hills, twisted horseshoe. I guess I'm literally just naming elements right now. But oh my god. The second half, can we talk about the second half for a second? Those back-to-back sniggle dives. I remember my first 2 visits there that it was open. I just got absolutely ejected from those. And when you go and get that kind of trick track back and forth and ejecting off the top of it, it is a feeling right there. That is absolutely a feeling. Honestly, before something that's appearing later on this list happened, I would say it was the number 1 ride at Cedar Point. And that's saying something, coaster capital of the world or whatever. And I am once again blessed to live in Ohio, where I can basically go up there at least once a year. But yeah, Maverick is amazing, and it honestly makes me sad that coasters goes number 9. Speaking of good coasters that somehow are low on this list, number 8 right here. We'll get into my first main wooden coaster of the list, and that is the Voyage down in Holiday World. Now this thing, this is how you do a wooden coaster. Honestly, this is only 6,442 feet long. Not quite Beast levels, obviously, because, you know, nothing can top Beast, but it is experience. What do I say about this that has been said? Airtime everywhere. Twisty turnies everywhere. That's back half where you just have the back-to-back 90-degree turns. It's forceful. It's long. It has an amazing night ride. Like, I was lucky I got to go back in 2010, I want to say. And don't hold me to that exact year, but I went one year to Hollywood Nights, their yearly event. I would love to do it again some year. And yeah, just the pitch black night ride with no brakes. If I could rate that alone, it might be a number 1 coaster. But I'm going off the whole thing, and unfortunately I'm rating it so low just because, even though it is an amazing coaster, even though it's super long, super forceful, that's kind of rough. Like, I can't really marathon it, and that puts it down on this list for me, especially compared to something else that you'll see in just a little bit. Voyage, number 8. Fantastic ride. I'm only rating it this low because it's kind of rough, and I can't really enjoy it as much as I used to. Let's put it that way. Lucky number 7. And here is probably our first upset of the list, kind of out left field. I want to make this a tie, but in order to just diversify my catalog a little bit, I'm giving it to Prowler at Worlds of Fun. You heard me right. One of my top coasters is at Worlds of Fun, the park that no one cares about from Cedar Fair. It's Mystic Timbers. It's Mystic Timbers was slightly more forceful, and you like trade out for the theming. There's not much footage of this to show, so I'm going to talk about Mystic Timbers a little bit. I do tie this with Mystic Timbers legally, but like for sake of the video, we're saying Prowler. They're basically the same ride. They're both these twisted on back coasters from GCI that start with a big swooping drop and just have these fantastic little twists and turns intermixed with their time. Short but sweet experience, like very forceful. Mystic Timbers, my home park once again. Like it's be a little bit better for talking like the full experience, things like it has the theming a little bit with the shed and the line and the music, interactivity with the park with things like the rapids and train doesn't really have for Prowler, but like Prowler, I guess it makes up with it for being so secluded. And let's try on the train, you cannot see this ride at all beyond the first drop. And that gives it the whole beast things, the whole mystique slash probably be a fantastic night ride if I got to ride at night. They're both so good. They're both so good. Like honestly, Mystic Timbers and Prowler are a tie for me. I'm just giving it to Prowler here for the sake of diversity. As just like do diversities. Number 6. So here is going to be another upset because I know this ride is very divergent. Like half the community loves it, half the community hates it. Guess what side I'm on? Sky Rush, Hershey Park, the Thigh Crush. I actually liked it a lot. Like I might have just had some good rides where I didn't get murdered by the restraint system or whatever, but like I absolutely loved this ride when I went. Real twisty hypercoaster, only 200 feet, but like still 75 miles per hour. That's really zippy. Intamin knows how to make these small coasters really fast. Like size doesn't matter. Once again, Maverick, it is forceful. I think I said on my review, I want to cut to that clip, but like the Hershey Park review, unfortunately, had some bad audio. It's one of the only rides that has legitimately just completely ragdolled me out of my seats. Had to hold on for dear life. If that doesn't say something, so the quality of the ride, it just absolutely throws you around. If you haven't guessed yet, I kind of like forceful coasters. You'll see with the rest of my list as well, but like I genuinely enjoyed Sky Rush. It reminded me a lot of a ride that I would love to put on this list, but I didn't do any videos way back then. I'm looking to do another trip to Kings Dominion soon, but I-305, I remember it genuinely enjoying. That was probably one of my favorite steel coasters. I think I described it as like the love child of Maverick and Millennium back then because 2 0 point coasters that I knew. Get back to Sky Rush. Like Sky Rush very much feels like a smaller, more compact version of I-305, or at least where I remember I-305 being. So I love this ride so much. I've only been once to Hershey Park since it was open, but like if I'm doing another Pennsylvania trip, I will gladly go back and marathon this thing, unless I just had some really good luck with it. Speaking about Hershey, let's do a couple quick honorable mentions. Staying in the park, Storm Runner. Unfortunately, when I went during, I think it was a 2020 trip? Yeah, 2020. The ride was down for refurbishment, so did not get to re-ride it. But I remember back from, I think 2007, my high school steel band was doing a trip, and part of it was we got to go to Hershey Park. So, like, Storm Runner was one of my favorite rides when I went. Like, Really zippy, intimate accelerator coaster. Hershey has some good intimates apparently. And like I remember there's a nice head chopper off of the top hat. Like both the versions were fantastic. That twisted uphill trick track finale. It's just very fast, very forceful ride. Unfortunately it was closed in 2020, but if I go back again, once again, that's another reason to go back to Hershey Park. I would love to go back and re-ride this thing. A couple of other quick honorable mentions from parks we visited. Worlds of Fun, I enjoyed Mamba for some reason. I know there's a lot of hate on the H. Morgan hypercoasters, but like at least the first half was really good. I don't know if it's the shaping of that first drop, that like the slight dip into the big drop that just give you that great ejector. The first few hills had nice airtime. The helix had really good lats. Yes, the trims did completely kill for a turnaround, but like at least that first part was really good. Not top 10 worthy, but it was a fun ride. Speaking of Cedar Fair parks that we visited, once again, Carowinds gets a real quick shout out. Like I said, it was a really bad visit, but like the coasters I went on, Carolina Cyclone, I have to give a lot of respect to. Purely because it's another aero that actually inherited the trains from Vortex. And I got to ride on one of those, so I'm super happy for me as a Vortex fan. Afterburn, another coaster there that I didn't get to ride this time, but I remember from my first trip way back in who knows when, I got to ride it, and I think it's one of my favorite inverted coasters. It's one that I'll have to compare again because it's been so long, but between that and another coaster that's not appearing because I didn't record when I went to Busch Gardens, between Afterburn and Montu is probably one of my favorite inverted coasters. Alright, we're halfway there, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are enjoying this content, of course, make sure to subscribe if you're new. Drop a like if you, so I know to do more list kind of videos like this, but you know the drill. Let's get back to the coasters. Number 5 is yet another upset that you may not have seen coming, and that is the Raven at Holiday World. Going back to Holiday World, going back to Indiana. You may say, Jared, why do you like Raven more than Voyage? Just same park, a much longer, much more forceful ride. And that's going to get back to kind of what I said about Voyage's one issue is rewritability. Because that ride is so rough, even though they keep on working on it, of course. Holiday World does a fantastic job maintaining the coasters and everything. Like, Holiday World's just a park. If you haven't gone to Holiday World, just go. But just rewritability, honestly. Voyage just has its merits over everything else. But Raven, you got that setting there with the Turnover Lake Rudolph right next to the parking lot. So it's like the first ride you see right when you come in, which is really cool. I've always called it Mini Beast just because you can very much not see most of the ride. You'll see, I've been showing footage for most of these, but like there's not really any of Raven to show off because you cannot see Raven at all unless you're doing a walk back. And most importantly, the 5th drop. Can we stop for a second and talk about the 5th drop of the ride? The one leading into the second half. That is like one of my favorite moments of airtime on any roller coaster. You just get yanked, and then you just speed through the rest of that course. Like, it's insane finale. It's a shame the ride's so short. Raven, absolutely my favorite coaster at Holiday World. I often spend half an hour just marathoning that thing nonstop. That's just how re-rideable it is. And like I said, I feel bad putting this above Voyage, because Voyage is such a fantastic coaster, but like, it's re-rideable and it is fun. And ultimately, I would much rather have a fun ride than a top tier ride, which you'll see another time in this list in a second. Number 4. And here, I'm honestly surprised it took this long to put an RMC on this list. We're going a little south of me to a little park called Kentucky Kingdom, where they have a little ride called Storm Chaser. Now, this thing is far from the biggest RMC in the world, like only 100 feet tall, about 52 miles per hour. But once again, going back to the whole thing with Raven and Maverick, size doesn't matter. It's the ride itself, and this thing packs. When do we get started? Like, the barrel roll down drop, the insane ejector following it, the 2 overbank turns, the trick track double up, double down finale, corkscrew over the entryway. Every single element of this ride is insane. And, like, I feel blessed, once again, to live in Cincinnati, where it's a 2-hour drive to get down there. And I've honestly had season passes a couple years just so I could ride this thing. Absolutely a top tier coaster. And I haven't been on every single RMC yet, but I've been on a decent chunk of them in America, and I don't want to say this is one of the best RMCs, but it is one of the best RMCs. Alright, we're getting the top 3, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it actually starts mattering, and surprisingly, these are all probably my top 3 coasters in general. So, number 3. There's the layout. I love Phoenix. I will go to Knoebels every year to ride Phoenix if I need to. There is no reason why this simple of a out and back like figure 8 coaster, it's only 78 feet tall, It's only 45 miles per hour ride, but there's no reason why this little thing should just have that much airtime. Oh my god. This might honestly be where I became an airtime lover. It doesn't matter if you do like the magic seat at the 1-3 where you get the most air out of everywhere, or even like I've had middle seat rides and still absolutely fell in love with it. Phoenix. There's not much to say about it. Like, if you like airtime, you like this ride. It does that really cool start with the pitch black tunnel, which is really nice. Every single element, of course, contains fantastic ejector or float airtime. A lot of people say the finale, the quad hill, is the best part of this ride. However, I will disagree. It is in the middle, where you go in the double up, double down. You just get higher and higher and higher and higher with every single part of the elements. You are flying on that thing. There's a reason this thing's named after a bird. You will fly on this ride. And honestly, I need to do another trip down to Knoebels. If you watch my video, you'll know that I am missing a couple credits there from reasons, but I am more than happy to go back to this park just for Phoenix. It's that good of a ride. Number 2, you guys ready to be disappointed again? Because we're going back up to Sandusky. This time, for Steel Vengeance. Now, I hear what you guys are saying. Jared, why isn't Steel Vengeance your number 1 coaster? Rayon, why isn't Steel Vengeance your number 1 coaster? It's a 205-foot tall hyper hybrid coaster from RMC that is just literally 2.5 minutes of nothing but coaster bliss. 9-degree drop, 4 inversions, 74 miles per hour, moment after airtime, moment of inversions, side-to-side forces. This ride is a complete package, and there's a reason that it's everyone's number 1 roller coaster. For me, I think it's just the bias that, once again, Cedar Point is a park that I go to almost on a yearly basis, and I guess for that, I enjoy more when I get to travel and see new experiences, but like, honestly, respect to anyone who has it as their number 1. I'm just going to show you a clip right now of my review that talk about my first experience on it, and that speak for itself on how I feel about this roller coaster. All right. I'll do this like as soon as I get off the ride. It's good. It's good. It's fantastic. I don't know if I'd rate it like number 1 automatically because I just haven't been on some of my favorites like at 3 or 5 in so long, but this lives up to it. Everything's got airtime, like, even those first point helps right before the lift, there's like this insane ejector, like, everywhere. And even stable down, like, you can feel the force on everything. I love this twisty hill, I love this inversion, just, this whole ride is love. Come down here right now, 0 point, ride it. I'm gonna go ride Maverick to compare it and, like, include that in a little outro or whatever, but I think it's pretty safe to say, best coaster here now, one of the best coasters in the world, definitely top 10 worthy. Oh, we do some other stuff, but yes. What is my number 1 is a little bit smaller, slightly off towards the west, and of course, is themed to time travel. I said it in the review video, but we'll say it again. My number 1 coaster is legally Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. This is a Mach Extreme spinner coaster. There's only a couple of them in the world, and this is the first one, obviously, but not the biggest coaster. 100-foot drop, and only, 50 miles per hour? 50.3 miles per hour, according to RCDB. But I'm just gonna say it, size. I'm just gonna say it. Just gonna say it again. Size doesn't matter. It's the experience, the thrills. I talked about Steel Vengeance being a complete package of a roller coaster between like its thrills, its slight amount of theming, the Western theming. I didn't mention the Western theming, by the way. Like, I love Wild West themed stuff, so that hit home to me. Cedar Point has 1-2 punch of Maverick and Steel Vengeance. We're not talking about that anymore. Time Traveler. I said it in the review, but we'll spell it out once again. Steampunk time travel coaster. Everything about that is my aesthetic. Beyond that, though, like, the ride itself is fantastic. Like, you have that 90-degree drop right out of the station. Twin launches, even if they're not that forceful, it's fine. The rest of the ride is. And all those forces are intensified, like all those inversions, all those twists and turns, flight positive air time. That's all intensified by the fact that you have a controlled spin the entire time. This means that it's not going to be too extreme that like it'll be vomit inducing. Like they designed this to spin at certain moments or whatever, but every ride in this thing will be completely different. And you'll feel these forces in completely different ways, whether you're going to Heartline roll sideways or like you going down that first drop backwards or something like that. Every single ride on this ride will be different, and I love it. On top of that, you do have the great theming. Well, there isn't much on the ride. The whole lead up is fantastic. You have that huge steampunk clock entrance. The line is just filled with all these little cogs gears, time travel things. You have the kind of Western remixes of classic music while you're listening, and just going at that station, hearing the clock tolls, seeing little dials on your car, which also look like little time machines. Like, it is such a cool ride. I cannot wait to get back to Silver Dollar City. I know my last visit was cut a little short for reasons, but if I ever get back down there, I would love to probably stay in the park for a whole day just to ride this thing as many times as I can and see how many experiences I can get off of the various ways this ride spins. Also, while we're talking about Silver Dollar City, I should probably give 2 honorable mentions. Wildfire somehow surprised me. That is honestly one of my favorite B&M coasters right now. Is super zippy ride that I honestly was going into expecting nothing and was blown away. So honorable mention there. And I guess I should mention World's First Ground Up RMC in Outlaw Run. It was okay. So that's my top 10 based purely on the videos that I posted here on this channel. Make sure you check those all out. I think I've linked them throughout this in little cardy things, but make sure you check them out. Of course, we do have some more trips planned this year. Like I mentioned, I cannot wait for the California one. We'll be hitting up Knott's Berry Farm and Six Flags Magic Mountain, hopefully hitting coaster number 300. And then I'll do a proper top 25 list or whatever. But let me know down below what are some of your favorite rides and if you've been on any of the ones I'm talking about here in this video. As always, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you like this video so I know and I'll be able to post more coaster stuff like this, more discussions. I know a lot of my theme park stuff is more vlog style, but I would like to sit down and just talk about coasters too, obviously. And of course, if you're new here, subscribe. It does help out the channel. Stick around, say hi, I don't know. As always, if you want to support this channel, raise energy. Once again, this prickly pear is really good. Like, I genuinely do like pear, one of my favorite fruits. Or if you're here for the card game side of stuff, check out my TCG Player store. Both ways do support this channel. It help me get tickets to go to amusement parks and do all that fun stuff. Until next time, always embrace the infinite.